Welcome to design number 38 with Nicole. Today we are going to talk all about some fun things you can do with washi tape. What I have here are some scrap white pieces of cardstock I've trimmed to 3x4, and I have a heart template that I just have on a piece of scrap white cardstock as well. And I'm just using that to trace onto 3 of the 3x4 white cardstock pieces. I'm going to go ahead with my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut out 3 hearts from 3 of those pieces of cardstock. I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife just because it's a little quick. It's pretty quick. If you have a digital cutter or a die, you could absolutely do the same thing on a cardstock piece yourself. And I am going to keep those hearts as well, the inside and the outside of those cutout shapes, and then clean out both the inside of the heart there on those 3x4 inserts and the outer edge of the actual hearts themselves, just to make sure that they're a little bit smoother and cleaner lines. Sometimes with an X-Acto knife you can get some rough kind of spots, so just make sure you have that cleaned up. I am going to cut down another 3 more pieces of 3x4 cardstock for later. And now I'm going to go ahead with my washi. This is washi tape from Vicki Boutin's new Storyteller collection. It's gorgeous and it's perfect for a project like this. And really all I'm doing is kind of taking my 3 heart shapes and laying down pieces of washi across the top of either of them. You can see I'm kind of randomly doing this. I use one washi and I just rip a strand across all 3 different pieces, kind of changing the direction of where I'm putting them, top, bottom, and middle as an example. Just trying to mix up my patterns. I don't want all 3 hearts to look identical, although you could absolutely do that too. And I'm making sure that when I tear my washi, I'm leaving quite a good amount of overhang over that cutout shape, just for later on, so it will adhere really nicely to the back side of the heart. And again, I'm just mixing up my different washi tapes. I wanted to use almost all of them from this collection, so I did a really good variety of that. And I'm also really making sure that I'm not putting too much of one kind of pattern or color in one area. And I do, again, want all 3 hearts to look really a little bit different, although the same, by using the same sort of washi. So I'm just going to finish off these hearts here. And the good thing about the washi is that, it's very user friendly. So if you need to pick something up and move it because, it doesn't kind of go with the combination you have going, it's very pliable. Now, once you have the hearts kind of filled in the way you like them, you just simply need to tuck the overlapping washi to the back side. Sometimes you need to do a little bit of trimming with a pair of scissors, but otherwise just rip off your washi there and then tuck it along the back as best you can. And I'm going to take my scissors and go just around the more smoother curved edges of the heart just to make sure I don't have any kind of rough spots again. And again, just really tucking most of it in. I'm not really trimming off any washi, again, other than the curved edges. Now I'm going to repeat this exact same process on 3 of those 3x4 cardstock pieces. And again, I'm using the same sort of theory. I'm just using the same piece of washi. And what I'm doing is kind of doing a top, middle, and bottom for each sort of piece that I'm placing. So I'm going to start with that gorgeous, gorgeous floral washi tape there and then add in the black. And then I'm going to take the same butterfly and apply it to all 3 pieces of cardstock again. And again, once you have one washi out, you might as well do all 3 pieces. I thought this would be a lot quicker than doing one sheet at a time. And having the washi overlap the cards like this and the heart shapes earlier really helps it stick down to your surface, so you don't have to worry about things moving around at all. But again, if you ever need to kind of lift the washi and move it to a different spot, or straighten things out, as you can see one of my cards is a little crooked, it's very easy to do that. It won't rip your cardstock, and even if it does in this case, it's going to be completely covered, so it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to continue this, adding in some of that gold kind of ribbon-like looking washi tape. And I do make a few more adjustments on this, moving things around a little bit more. I think because the card is a larger space, I was a little more careful of how I laid everything out. And sometimes the difficulty is just finding the end of that washi tape strip, right? Again, just keep going. I think this whole process of actually sticking down the washi tape took me like 5 or 6 minutes. You really don't want to get caught up too much in being finicky about them looking too different. But I mean, my recommendation is you just really have a lot of fun with it and don't, get caught up in the details. Now I'm just going to fold this over the back side of each card now. I'm going to do one at a time, and then with the rectangle, it's quite easy to just fold it over because it's a simple card shape. If you have any kind of extra on the top or the bottom, you may want to trim that off if you have any overhang. Sometimes if it's quite skinny, it won't stick very well to the back. And I'm going to do that here. So now I have kind of my 3 rectangles and 3 hearts, and I want to add some stitching detail to it. You don't need to do that. I just really like that textural element over top of the washi. And it also kind of helps stick things down a little more. Although washi tape is sticky, as you know, it's obviously very easy to peel it up as well. So I really just wanted to add the stitching from 2 perspectives. So I'm going to take my leftover inserts from where I cut out the hearts and lay that over top of my rectangles that I've covered in the washi and add my stitching around that. So I kind of get that same heart shape. You'll see kind of 2 different ways to use the hearts. I am going to kind of lift up that top piece a little and just trim off any excess washi that might be sticking out a little bit, just to make sure that there's no overhang. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some foam adhesive here just to pop up my standalone hearts over top of the extra 3 pieces of cardstock that I have. So I'll end up with 6 sort of heart-shaped designs, 3 of the popped up hearts and 3 of the, I'm going to call them inset hearts, inside that heart template that we cut out. So you get a very similar look, but a slightly different. Now I really just want to lay these on a grid on my background here. I have a couple photos of my daughter in the fall, and I thought I'm going to just create a bit of a grid with each of these hearts, kind of alternating the popped up hearts and the inset hearts. And I'm also trying to make sure I don't have too much of the same sort of hearts. I don't want to have too many, I don't want to have a teal stripe right across the middle beside another teal striped heart across the middle. But I was noticing on my page the white cardstock was just a little too stark. So I did peel off my popped up hearts, all 3 of them, and I'm adding the Scattered Straw Distress Oxide ink just to the outer edges of that cardstock. This is a really great way to just add some depth to your cardstock and a touch of color. So if you ever have something that's just a little too stark white, I love this color. It's a really soft, pretty yellow. You can definitely just rub that along the edges. You don't need to be a real big Distress Oxide ink blender for this. I'm not, but I do my best to try. But this is a great way to just add some of that extra dimension to your cardstock pieces. So I'm going to add that to my popped up hearts. And then I thought my white cardstock pieces with the inset hearts looks pretty plain as well, a little too white. So although I cleaned up my ink there, I really didn't need to. I could have used the leftover with a little water. And I've just added a little bit of water to the ink. And then using a large round paintbrush, I'm splattering it over top of those 3 inset hearts. Just again, adding just a light touch of the ink. I'm going to set them aside to dry just for a minute here and just slightly clean up my workstation. Once they're dry, I'm going to just roll my roll of paper towels over top. It's hard to see here with the lights, the actual splatter, but I'll show you later on in a close-up. But it adds just a nice little bit of that yellow. It kind of adds a little consistency from the popped up heart shapes, that's hard to say, versus the inset heart shapes. So I'm just going to kind of use a ruler here to kind of get those, my grid kind of placed on my page. So I'm going to start with my 2 outer pieces, adding in, working my way towards the middle. And my photo is going to slightly overlap those 2 hearts there on the bottom, and the same thing will happen on the top row. So again, I'm going to add my 2 outer pieces, then my 3rd heart, and then I'll add my photos with foam adhesive over top. So it will kind of overlap the hearts underneath. So I have my grid here. I'm just going to get the photos down. And then I kind of realized that some of my pieces where the washi was stuck wasn't sticking well to my background. So I'm going to go in here with some glue dots and just kind of clean up some of those edges just to make sure it's stuck down really well. The issue with washi is it is pretty slippery, so you want to make sure you have a good thing in place to keep it set. I had an extra torn strip of this really pretty rainbow paper from the Storyteller collection, so I just added that along the top of my page along with a tiny little light droppings of some black mist while you aren't watching. I'm going to add in a die cut title along with these foam letters here from Simple Stories, just to kind of add a title to my page. I really like adding, when you have a grid design like this, just a nice curvy title along the top edge really adds like a bit of a softness to your layout, not so harsh and graphic. I'm going to pull out a whole bunch of stickers here too from Vicki Boutin, and what I love about these stickers is there's some washi stickers in the package. So I'm actually going to peel off one of the washi stickers and put it right on my photo. So I'm going to stick it right on there. It's a nice way to add a little bit of detail. So if you have any sort of washi tape, you could definitely do the same sort of thing. It's also great to tear a long strip and use that as a border on, like, instead of the paper strip I've done there, you could tape a long, thicker strip of washi tape and do that as well. That would be great. I'm just going to layer a few more little stickers here along the top edge, and then I think pretty much that's my layout all come together. So you can take a peek here of all the fun washi tape popped up and inset. I really love how this is really the pattern paper for the background. I really didn't use a lot of extra paper or die cuts. I did add in a few extra leaves I had from my stash already cut out. And that's it for my project today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you again next month on the SCT blog. Bye-bye.